Cyberpunk Cycloneshock with LEDs and an awesome paint job. Here's a little video of one of my recent builds. Hello friends, hello YouTube, how are you guys doing? Rainbow here with another NERF mod video. Today I'll be talking about one of my most recent builds, which was a LARP commission for a cyberpunk inspired LARP kind of scenario, and the customer wanted a Cycloneshock, internals to be stock, outside to be modded to look the part, and potentially with some lights if you can, and yes I can. So here we go. Without any further ado, this is LS-93. It has no name yet because I'll leave that up to the customer to name it, but this is the beautiful blaster. Now, before we do the whole sort of me wraggling the blaster about, here are some pictures. Enjoy. So this build was a lot of fun. For those of you who don't know the Cycloneshock, this is what it looks in its stock configuration. And it's a pretty solid Mega Dart blaster. I really like using those as a backup because Mega Darts in our gameplay are shield busters, and so it's always nice to have one of these around. They're lovely to fire, they're really, really nice. And so from there to this, what did I do? So let's talk about the paint job first. As always, I started by completely stripping the blaster apart, sanding all the bits and bobs that needed sanding, so the Mega writing is gone, as well as the NERF serial numbers and all that. But I left the rest fairly stock, because the great thing about this is I didn't need to do any body modifications for the LEDs, since this right here is on the original blaster, this weird foregrip, and it fits a 9-volt battery just perfectly, but more about that later. So paint job wise, this is relatively straightforward. I did a full base coat in silver, actually a couple of layers, and then I airbrushed the rest. So I masked off all the rest, so got this gold here and there and on both sides, and then the orange metal sort of looks, that's all airbrush. Then the entire wear and tear, dirt, grime look is also all airbrushed. And then I went over with some gilding wax to get the corners nice and shiny. And yeah, you have seen this, you probably have seen this before in my painting video. If you haven't, go check it out. So that's it about the paint job. Now, I said this blaster has LEDs. There's a little switch right here which you can reach from right down there, just from the trigger finger, flick it up, and you're good to go. And isn't this awesome? Let me quickly turn off this light real quick, so you can see the awesome glow of this blaster. I really, really like it. I really like how this turned out. So, shall we continue this video in this light? It kind of looks alright. So just so you see about those LEDs, what I did here, this blaster has 6 red LEDs in here, and they sit on top right here and right here. Now, these things right there, they're actually aquarium tubing. I have used these before in the newer Tian build and in some other LED builds as well, because they light up really nice. And actually in this they're 5mm, and so the inner diameter is just perfect for small LEDs, because you can just stack them in there, a little bit of glue around, and they just sit there nice and easy. And so there's only LEDs up the top, and this is why the light also fades. I don't know if you can see this on the video as well as you can in person actually, but if you look at it from right here, the light is way more intense up the top and less intense down here, which is intentional, because I kind of thought, okay, what would that light be? In some energy core or something that sits up here and powers the blaster, so it would make sense to have it radiate from the top kind of thing. So that's what I thought about when I placed these things. So the tubes are very easy. I just drilled some holes up here and there to get the tubes in here, and then on the inside they are fairly secure by themselves, but I secured them with some glue on the inside. And then, as I said, put the LEDs up the top. There's 3 LEDs here and 3 LEDs here. Those 3 are wired in series with a resistor, and those 3 are wired in series with a resistor, and then these 2 are wired in parallel. And so all of this will connect to the switch down here, as well as the 9-volt battery sitting down here. So in case if you don't know how to calculate your LEDs and the setup, I will link a calculator that I use in the description of this video, so go check it out. I have no affiliate relation with these guys. I just use that calculator because it's really nice, and it gives you different arrays of how you can set up depending on what voltage your LEDs need and what resistors you have. What I did here, let's go to some pictures. I'm gonna put this on the side real quick and I'm gonna talk you through some pictures. So I'm gonna put our guy on the side over here. I'm gonna do video editing magic. So there's some pictures, and now you can see on the inside how I placed the LEDs. So I was looking at the inside of the blaster, and because the blaster should still be functioning with the original rotating mechanism and everything, I couldn't interfere with any of that. But interestingly enough, there is just enough space on the top bit, the golden bit right here, as you can see in the picture. There's just enough space underneath there to have all the cables and everything. So once I thought, okay, this is going to work, I did a lot of placement testing with the tubes and how long the tubes are going to be. But in the end, it all worked out nicely. So the battery, as I said, sits in here. So all you got to do is clear out, just the area down here. I have installed some foam, like 2mm foam around, so the battery sits in there nice and easy, but also doesn't rattle and is not pointing on any sharp bits, as you can see in the picture right there. And then I ran the cables to the switch and then to the LEDs. Now, the main problem with this is because we have LEDs on both sides, as you can see in this next picture, you kind of have to have enough slack so you can open the blaster and actually get to the internals without ripping the cables apart, which is what I had to make sure, just in case the customer ever needs to open this. And to make it as easy as possible, I left more slack than I needed. And then, as you can see here, the blue bit is actually a piece of heat shrink that I put over. So if you pull this, it'll just pop off, and then you have like 10 centimeters roughly in between the two halves. So it should be easily enough space to set the halves aside next to each other and then work on the internals if needed. But on the other hand, that piece of heat shrink also helps to keep the cables nice and neat on the inside and then not going wonky everywhere. If you ever want to know more about LEDs and wiring and want me to do a video on that, please let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to do so. In this case, it was very straightforward. As I said, it's 3 and 3 in parallel, and these 3 are in series because the voltage was alright. Again, the calculator will give you all these informations when you enter your information. Alright, so enough looking at internals. Here we go. Turn the beauty back on. I do kind of leave the light on this. Now that you can see, we can still front load the mega darts as we should. Everything internally works as a stock Cycloneshock. So with all this in place, prime, fire, and it is so much fun to shoot these. If you've never had a Cycloneshock, I highly recommend these blasters. They're absolutely fun. So that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this little video about this mod. It was a fun project to do. I really enjoyed this. If you want to get any commissions like this, email for commission requests is in the video description below. If you want to know more about LEDs and all things, leave a comment, as I said before. And other than that, I hope you have some good and nice holidays, a good rest of the year, a good start to the new year. And until I see you next time, happy modding, happy nerfing, love and sunshine.